We are live here, New England Fan Fest number 5. Last night, we had the pleasure of going to see this gentleman right here.
Who are you calling a gentleman?
Hopefully this guy. One of my heroes, personally, everything. He did a corny in New England.
What a show, man. It was a great show. We had a great time last night. How do you do it? How do you do it? I mean,
How do I do it? I open my mouth and sounds come out. What do you mean, how do I do it? All I did was stand up there and talk and pontificate and elucidate and educate the people on all the things they ought to know that's going on in the world, not only in wrestling but in life. That's how I did it. Just like I just did that now.
I'm pretty sure that if there was a Church of Cornette, which I don't know if you've thought
There
about
is,
this.
my followers are called the Cult of Cornette. You realize this, the Cult of Cornette, hashtag Cult of Cornette. They follow the Jim Cornette experience. They follow me on Twitter at the Jim Cornette. They listen to the message that I give out from the mountaintop, from Castle Cornette.
Do you have any more plans of doing any of these more one-man shows coming up?
Yeah, well, most of my shows are only one man, because like Sam Roberts was there with me, but we mentioned he's half a man. But
He was terrible.
But no, actually, you know, they're all different. And in Charlotte at the NWA Legends Fan Fest first weekend of August, I'm going to be doing a live Jim Cornette Experience podcast, but I'll be doing the show with a bunch of my closest friends that are running the training camp, like Les Thatcher, Lance Storm, Dr. Tom Pritchard, Hustler Rip Rogers going to be there, just so many more. But then there's a very good possibility, I'm negotiating now, to take the show back to the Carolinas later on in the year and maybe do a one-man thing. And then, of course, I did the tour of the United Kingdom last year, a corny in the UK. It was 50 years since the Beatles invaded America. The British invasion started, so I returned the favor and took Corny Mania to the United Kingdom.
Hashtag Corny Mania.
Hashtag Corny Mania, and the documentary's out there at jimcornette.com if you want to get the documentary. So it's an ever-evolving thing. It's fluid, baby.
Sure.
It's fluid. It's in motion, if you will.
so we're at New England Fan Fest 5. A lot of fans have been coming up today, meeting you and greeting you. What's the one thing that fans always ask you every time they come see you? Is there one thing that's constant?
They always ask me, why the hell are you always doing that another wrestling podcast? That's the shittiest show. That's the first thing they ask me. But, you know, there's a lot of questions about jumping off of scaffolds and going through Dairy Queen drive-thrus. And then there's that guy that we don't talk about. I call him Voldemort. But a lot of times they ask me, Jim, what's wrong with wrestling? And we don't have that much time on the podcast, but I can just say that I do also do columns about such things for Fighting Spirit magazine, the largest pro wrestling and mixed martial arts publication in the United Kingdom. And you can read those at jimcornette.com. So if you want to read and be educated as to what's wrong with professional wrestling, just read my columns. That's everything you need to know, everything you could possibly need to know about what is wrong with the modern professional wrestling industry, right there, jimcornette.com, under Fighting Spirit columns, and you'll see it right there. What more could you need to know?
That's it.
You never watched Johnny Carson. You're supposed to say you are wrong, turnbuckle breath. There is something else you need to know. That's to listen to another wrestling podcast. But if you're a podcast, why are we on video?
We're doing everything we can. We're trying to branch out a little bit.
Well, don't quit your day job just yet.
So, lastly, you are a big wrestling aficionado.
I am.
Collector of memorabilia. My question today was, what pieces of memorabilia have you purchased while at the Fan Fest?
Boston, Massachusetts, Paul Bowser programs, 1947 through 1951. There's about another, I'm sorry, it's upside down. There's about another 100 or 200 of those down under the desk that aren't going to get brought out just yet because they have to be logged into the vault at the castle. But this is stuff that, this is so rare, I'm going to have to put my own eyes out after I've looked at everything, because you're not allowed to see this stuff and live. It's so rare.
So, is there one piece of Holy Grail merchandise that you don't have that you wish you had?
Well, see, now that I would just have to make stuff up now, because I'd like, you know, the first boots that Luthez ever wore in the ring as a professional. Where would they be? You know, you can let your imagination run wild, but I do have a very interesting and diverse collection of things, but this is something that Well, my head almost exploded. If I hadn't been so tired from the Fan Fest activities, my head would have blown up when I saw these.
Well, we want to thank you so much. Keep up all the great work. I know that, like I said, one of my heroes, and I'm sure that the feeling's mutual, that you're...
I'm one of your heroes, and I'm actually one of my own heroes also. So yes, the feeling is mutual.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you very little. You're welcome even less.